Hey guys, welcome back to another Mathin' with Coach Lynn. Today we're going to go over solving ratio problems, which is lesson 1-5 in our Tennessee Reveal math book. This starts on page 37, and our I can statement tells us that we're going to solve real world problems involving ratio relationships by using bar diagrams, double number lines, and equivalent ratios. So first, I'm going to start on page 38. I'm going to go through example 1. Example 1 starts with using bar diagrams to solve ratio problems. It says 2 out of 3 randomly selected students in Miss Mason's class at Heritage Middle School prefer cats as a household pet than any other pet. If there are 750 students at Heritage Middle School, how many students can be expected to prefer cats as a household pet? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use a bar diagram. So we have to draw our bar. Once we draw our bar, we take what we have learned from our word problem above, which tells us 2 out of 3 randomly selected students prefer cats. So since it's 2 out of 3, we're going to make 3 portions in our bar. The big thing to remember here is if it says out of, and then whatever number comes after that, 3 tells us how many sections the bar needs to be cut into. So now that we've got it cut into 3 sections, we're going to determine how much each section is worth. And they told us if there are 750 students at Heritage Middle School, how many students can be expected to prefer cats as a household pet? So we're looking at 750 students as a whole. So my bar altogether represents 750. Now I want to know how many people prefer cats. So in order for me to do that, I need to figure out how much each section is worth. So I'm going to take 750 and divide it by 3, because there are 3 sections in my bar diagram. And I'm going to find out that each section is 250 students. So once I find out that each section is 250 students, I'm able to see that 2 sections of my 3 are the people who prefer cats. So 250 times 2 is 500. So 500 people prefer cats. And since 1 section represents the people who do not prefer cats, we see that only 250 people do not prefer cats. Now let's look at another problem on down at the bottom of the page on our check. It says a survey of randomly selected students found that out of every 10 students, 3 said they got their news from their cell phone. If there are 750 students at Heritage Middle School, how many students can be expected to get their news from their cell phone? Okay, so the first thing we need to do is identify the things we know from this word problem. Okay, we see that out of every 10 students, 3 said they get their news from their cell phone. So out of 10, which is our whole then, okay, so we can put 10 as our whole, and we know it's 3 out of 10, so that's a 3 to 10 ratio. Once we know our 3 to 10 ratio, and it's out of, we know that we're going to have 10 boxes in our bar diagram. So we will set that up on another sheet of paper. I have my bar to start. Since it's a 3 out of 10, I'm going to need 10 sections. Now that I've cut my bar into 10 sections, I know that 3 out of 10 get their news from their cell phone. So we can put an N in each of those 3 boxes to signify those are the 3 out of 10 that get their news from their cell phone. Now, if we finish our word problem, it tells us if there are 750 students at Heritage Middle School, how many students can be expected to get their news from their cell phone? So now, instead of a whole of 10, where we went 3 of 10 here, we're now saying out of 750. So now our whole bar represents 750. So now I need to know how much does each individual section within my bar represent. Since there are 10 sections, I'm going to do 750 divided by 10. When I work that out, I'll see that 750 divided by 10 is 75. Once I know each section equals 75, I can go through and label each section as 75. So my problem wants to know if 3 out of 10 students get their news from their cell phone, and there are 750 students in the school, how many of those 750 get their news from their cell phone? Well, 3 of my 10 got the news from their cell phones. We have 3 boxes that are now represented by 75. So we're going to do 75 times 3. 5 times 3 is 15. 3 times 7 is 21, plus my 1. 225 students get their news from their cell phone. Moving on to example 2. During their family vacation, Marcus took 18 photos on his cell phone. The ratio of the number of photos Marcus took to the number of photos his sister Maribel took is 3-4. We notice here there's a difference in our ratio where it says 3-4 instead of 3 out of 4 or 3 of 4. Okay? That's because we are comparing a part to a part. We are comparing Marcus's photos to Maribel's photos instead of Marcus's photos out of all of the photos that were taken. So to do this, we're going to compare 3 to 4. I'm not a big fan of how they show this in the book here, so I'm going to show you the way I would do this. Since we're comparing 3 to 4, 3 pictures that Marcus took to 4 pictures that Maribel took, I have 2 parts that make up my whole amount of photos taken. So altogether, I need 3 plus 4, which is 7 boxes. So when I draw my bar diagram, I need to cut it into 7 sections. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? I'm going to put MC for Marcus and MB for Maribel. I've got 3 for Marcus and 4 for Maribel. Okay, so I've got my 3 to 4 ratio laid out with my bar diagram. It tells us up in our word problem, Marcus took 18 photos on his cell phone. The ratio of the numbers Marcus took to the number of his sister Maribel took is 3 to 4. How many photos did Maribel take? Well, we know Marcus took 18 photos altogether. So if Marcus took 18 photos and 3 of the sections are represented by Marcus, how many photos are represented by each individual section? We're going to do 18 divided by 3, which will give me 6. So each individual section is represented by the number 6. So Marcus took 18 photos. 6 times 3 is 18. So we're going to see how many photos Maribel took. Since 4 sections represents Maribel, we're going to do 6 times 4, which will give us 24. So Maribel took 24 photos. Altogether, Marcus and Maribel took 42 photos because he took 18, she took 24. If we add those together, we'll get 42. Now let's look at the check problem at the bottom of the page. A survey of randomly selected people found that the ratio of people who prefer oatmeal raisin cookies to those who prefer chocolate chip cookies is 3 to 5. If 27 people said they prefer oatmeal raisin cookies, how many said they prefer chocolate chip? Draw a bar diagram to support your solution. Okay, so we know from this word problem that we're comparing people who prefer oatmeal raisin to people who prefer chocolate chip. And they tell us that this ratio is a 3 to 5 ratio. We see that we're comparing a part to a part. We're not comparing the people that like oatmeal raisin to all of the cookies in the world. We're not comparing the people that like chocolate chip to all of the cookies in the world. We're comparing oatmeal raisin to chocolate chip. So if we gathered a group of people, 3 of them would tell us they like oatmeal raisin, 5 would tell us they like chocolate chip. So altogether, that would be a total of 8 people. I know that 3 prefer oatmeal raisin, 2, 5 that prefer chocolate chip. So I need a bar diagram that has 8 total sections. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and I know 3 are my oatmeal raisin, and 5 are my chocolate chip. Now my question asks me, if 27 people said that they prefer oatmeal raisin cookies, how many said they prefer chocolate chip? So they're telling us that of this ratio, 27 are oatmeal raisin. So I'm going to say 27 divided by my 3 boxes, which represent oatmeal raisin. 27 divided by 3 is 9. So all boxes are now 9. So they want to know how many then prefer chocolate chip. Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes represented by chocolate chip, and 9 times 5 equals 45. So 45 people prefer chocolate chip cookies compared to the 27 who prefer oatmeal raisin. Now let's look at an alternative way we can solve both of these ratio problems that we dealt with the bar diagrams. Another way we can look at it is we see Marcus to Maribel's photos was a 3 to 4 ratio. And then they told us that Marcus took 18 photos. So we can now put a number under the 3 as 18, but we do not know how many belong with Maribel. So what we'll do here is we need to think 3 multiplied by what number gets me to 18. If I can't off the top of my head figure out what I need to multiply by, I can always look at it as 18 divided by 3 to get my answer. And I'm going to see that 18 divided by 3 is 6. So 3 times 6 will also give me 18. So I need to do the same thing over here. 4 times 6 gives me 24. And as we see, that gives me the same answer as I had previously with my bar diagram. We look at our oatmeal raisin and chocolate chip problem, and we know that it was a 3 to 5 ratio of oatmeal raisin to chocolate chip. They told us 27 preferred oatmeal raisin. We wanted to know how many preferred chocolate chip. I'm going to look at it again and say, okay, 3 times what number will get me to 27. If I can't figure that out, I can do 27 divided by 3, which is 9. So 3 times 9 is 27. 5 times 9 is 45. Okay, now let's look at page 45 at some of our practice problems. Number 1 on page 45 says, a survey showed that 4 out of 5 students own a bicycle. Based on this result, how many of the 800 students in a school own a bicycle? So the first thing I need to identify is my ratio they're giving me, which is a 4 out of 5 ratio. And I see that it's 4 out of 5, so 5 is my whole that has been taken out of. So I'm going to draw a bar diagram with 5 sections. They told me that 4 out of 5 own a bicycle. So I'm going to put a B in 4 of the boxes to represent the 4 out of 5 that own a bicycle. I'm going to put an X in the 5th one for the person that does not own a bicycle. So they said, based on the results, how many of the 800 students in a school own a bicycle? So 800 students in the school is my whole, just like 5 was my whole here. So these 5 whole boxes are now represented by 800. So I'm going to take 800, I'm going to need to divide it by 5 to find how much each individual box is represented by. And when I do that, I get 160. So each box is 160. So now that I have that, I see I have 160 4 times for the 4 out of 5 that own a bicycle. So I'll do 160 times 4. 4 times 0, 0. 4 times 6, 24. 4 times 1 is 4, plus my 2 is 6. So I see that 640 students own a bicycle. Now let's look at number 3. The ratio of the number of baskets made by Tony to the number of baskets made by Colin is 2 to 3. Tony made 10 baskets. How many baskets did Colin make? Okay, so first we're going to identify the ratio my word problem gives me, which is 2 to 3. This is the amount of baskets Tony made to the amount of baskets Colin made. So I've got a 2 to 3 ratio there. So I know I need 2 tells me I have 2 parts. Tony's part and Colin's part. So now I need to add those together to figure out how many total sections I need in my bar diagram. 2 plus 3 is 5. So I have my 5 sections. 2 of those are represented by Tony, so I'm going to put a T in them. And 3 are represented by Colin, and I'll put a C. They tell me Tony made 10 baskets. So Tony's boxes is represented by 10, which means each box is 5, because 10 divided by 2 is 5. So now that we know each box is 5, we can see that 5, 10, 15 are the amount of baskets that Colin made. We can also do our 2 to 3 ratio, which is our amount of baskets Tony made to the amount of baskets that Colin made. They told us that Tony made 10 baskets. We don't know how many Colin made, so we need to figure that out. We see that 2 times 5 is 10. So 3 times 5 is 15. Hope this helps you out. Take what you've learned and move forward and ace those assignments. Have a good day.